let me go to our satellite. You all know this lady. She's both a movie icon and a goodwill ambassador for UNICEF, who just made her 4th visit to the Darfur region. Please welcome Mia Farrow. Hey, Mia Farrow, how you doing?
Hey,
Thank
Bill.
you so much
Thank
for
you for
coming
having
on,
me on.
and thank you for telling the country about a subject that, you know, quite frankly, a lot of people don't want to hear about. It's not funny, it's not entertaining, but worst of all, it apparently is not changing. Is that right? You
Yes.
just got back.
Yeah, we have completed 4 years of into a genocide, and the only reaction for the international community has been 4 years of hand-wringing, sadly. I first went to Darfur in 2004, and if I could tell a brief story about this that I'm wearing, it's called a gris-gris or a hijab, and it was given to me by a wonderful woman who I will never forget. Her name was Halima, and she had 5 of these around her neck, and she had nothing. We were in a refugee camp, and she took it from her neck and she gave it to me, and she described the day that the Janjaweed attacked her village, and she had been holding her baby son, and her son was torn from her arms, she said, and she felt compelled to tell me how she had struggled, how she had fought to hold on to her son, as if somehow it was her fault that she didn't hold hard enough. And her son was torn from her arms and bayoneted before her eyes. 3 of her 5 children were killed similarly that day. Janjaweed, she said, they cut them and threw them into the well. Halima clasped my 2 hands and said, "Tell people what is happening here. Tell them we will all be slaughtered. Tell them we need help."
But as much as people...
4 years ago.
As much as people are told this, and we've had other celebrities on our show, George Clooney, Don Cheadle, telling the same story.
Yeah.
Nothing seems to change, and if you ask people in this country, they do want to help. But I think what they hear, first of all, is that they're not even sure if they give money, it would get to the people who need it, because that's the situation over there.
Right. Well, we should support our humanitarian workers who are there working at great risk, at great personal risk to themselves. And there are 14,000 of them, and actually 13 of them have been killed since June. But what really needs to happen is we have to have a political solution and have to have UN peacekeepers sent into the region. And, you know, this has been denied by the government of Sudan. And we don't have the so-called sticks and carrots, apparently, to influence Sudan, but China does. And this is the key thing.
China?
We do have a relation. Yes, China. You got to know, China pours billions of dollars into Sudan every year. China has 2 huge oil companies.
Yeah, on the wrong side. They support the government.
PetroChina and Sinopec. What?
They support the wrong side.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they get oil from the Sudan. China, bad.
Yes, and they are, well, they're complicit in a genocide.
Yes.
And they're launching the Olympics, and they have sort of this one world theme. But what we've got to link China to this genocide and say, you know, China has the capacity, China has the carrots and sticks that could move Sudan into A, stopping the genocide, B, admitting the peacekeepers that are so
don't you
desperately
understand? China
needed.
makes the toys that go into our Happy Meals.
Right.
So we can't fuck with China.
We've got to take a position.
So, can I ask you if you have plans to adopt any of the... I know you have adopted... How many children have you adopted from overseas?
10.
10. And are you going to adopt another one?
I have no immediate plans to, Bill. Do you need an adoption?
Why are you being so selfish? And we heard today on the news Angelina Jolie is going to adopt another child, I think this one from Vietnam. Do you think that she's sort of your spiritual heir in the adopting foreign kids game?
I have nothing but admiration for Angelina Jolie. And,
Me too.
You know, God bless her. She's doing great things.
But if
when she gets to her 9th child, I'll see if I feel competitive.
Right. If she breaks your record, will you cheer her on, or will you be like Dan Marino, you know, kind of like... I wonder if you find out that she used steroids to do it. I'm kidding you, of course. Listen, thank you so much for doing this.
We're way off topic.
I know.
China.
But thank you for coming on and
China,
sharing this with
Olympics.
us and making America look at this issue. Mia Farrow, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, that is a shame that we keep talking about it and nothing seems to get done.
You know, back in, I think 1998, I had a resolution, and we laid out all the particulars. Abe Rosenthal, former editor of the New York Times, came around and was talking about it. At that time, over 1 million Sudanese had been killed in the Civil War, 1998. But, you know, it's so interesting. We go to Kosovo, we go to Bosnia,
Right.
we go to Iraq, we're going to go to Iran, and yet 2 million Rwandans get slaughtered in 1994. We do nothing. The United Nations does nothing. In 97, 98, 1 to 2 million Sudanese get slaughtered. We do nothing. Why? What's the difference?
Black guy?
Skin.
Black guy.
Let me jump in right
black
here.
guy.
Black guy, I think that's your
Yeah.
cue.
It's about time. I wish I could reduce it to the density of the color of their skin. I don't know that I can, but the problem is when you have the government saying one of the many reasons to go to Iraq is because he was a bad guy. Saddam Hussein was a bad guy.
Right.
There are a lot of bad guys out there. So I can't say exactly why we're not doing things in the Sudan, but it bothers me when that's used as an excuse in Iraq, and clearly that's not a reason. There's an excuse and there's a reason. It's not a reason to go into the Sudan. That's where it's
Well, the thing
problematic.
is, you talk about Kosovo or Bosnia, and we have a report this past week that what? How many? Maybe 10,000 white people were slaughtered. They called it genocide. Again, 2 million in Rwanda, up to 2 million in Sudan. We do nothing. It's hard not to say. It's because the people in Sudan don't look like the majority of
I
Americans.
don't know why we...
But they got oil.
The other factor,
Right.
first of all,
They got oil, so unfortunately you can't even
well,
take
Iraq
that
is-
out as a reason.
Iraq is relevant, and America's not the major problem here. We haven't done as much as we should. We're not the source of all the evil in the world. In fact, China has been outrageous here, and the Arab world has been terrible. Part of the problem has been that there's an ethnic element here, and it is a largely Arab group in the Sudan who's in power, and these are blacks in Darfur, and the Arab world has used its influence against the kind of intervention that the UN ought to take. Iraq is a problem in this sense, though. To the extent that you would get a UN peacekeeping force, and there's been some interest in it, they would need American logistical support for it to work. And we are unable to offer that in any significant degree because we are so tied up with this terrible mistake in Iraq. So we are not as able to be helpful as we should be. But it is also a case where the Arab world's refusal collectively, and this, it seems to me, the Sunni and the Shia appear to have gotten together on the wrong side. They have been running interference with the Sudan, for the Sudanese government and the UN, and ought to be severely criticized for it.